All right.
Welcome back to Hunchback Insomniac with Nahum and Zack, episode 12. 12.
Wow.
That's a good one, man.
Isn't there 12 days in Hanukkah?
No.
Oh, sorry. 13?
8.
Why do I always think it's 12?
Or is it 9? I'm a bad Jew.
You're bad.
I'm a bad.
You put a spell on
You know what? Immediately, the thing that went through my brain was Adam Sandler's 8 Crazy Nights.
Oh,
I
yeah.
was like, hey, is that the amount, or is it just 8 Crazy Nights until the last? I think a menorah has 8. Yeah, I think it's 8 candles.
You're right. One in the middle.
And then
Wait.
no, that'd be odd.
2 in the middle.
No, 1 in the middle.
Then so
It's
there's
not
7
8.
days.
No, it's 9. It's not. Well, hey Jamie, can you look up how many? Yeah,
That would be cool.
that would be cool. I mean, eventually,
Yeah.
that would be the goal. Eventually,
Yeah, we're going to do like interviews and we're going to find someone that it looks exactly like Jamie and sounds exactly like him.
yeah, we're actually.
Wouldn't that be actually pretty funny though?
We're holding interviews. Comment down below if you want to be our producer for the pod and look things up for us and have us just demand things from you just at all times.
Yeah, lots of demanding.
Hey, look up when Jupiter was formed. Stuff like that. You know what I mean? We're going to do that a lot.
Jupiter Ascending.
That's
everything.
a good movie.
Yeah, I know.
That's a great movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. How was your weekend?
Dude, it was really good actually. Long. I had a great weekend. I went to the first Reggae Rise Up Festival in Arizona.
In AZ.
So shout out to any reggae fans out there. It's probably I'm just kidding.
It's probably.
I'm sure there's a couple. Reggae's pretty cool.
Yeah. Especially
headliners were Dirty Heads, Revolution, and then Damian Marley. But Damian Marley was who I was excited to see.
Does Damian Marley the one who sings "Welcome to Jam Rock"?
Yes, sir.
Did he sing Jam Rock?
Yes, he did.
No, he
started
didn't.
with it.
No, he didn't.
Yeah, bro. And dude, there's this one song that I could not fucking find on Spotify that he plays, and it's kind of pissing me off.
That's so sick.
Like,
dude.
I tried to look it up. I can't find it.
Doesn't that piss
anywhere.
you off?
And I'm like, so I'm waiting, and I've been looking every day since Saturday for the set list. Someone's recorded it live, and then
Do you know what Shazam is?
But I don't have it downloaded,
That's
dude.
what I'm saying. You didn't Shazam it real quick?
I was not in the right state of mind to I wanted to, but I just wanted to be in the moment kind of thing.
How smart is the guy who made Shazam?
Oh, my God.
How smart and how much money do you make?
Was that the first one of...
That was the first one.
That was
where it's
the
like,
first one,
hey,
yeah.
AI. Wow, wait, it's an AI. I didn't even think about that. It's an AI built system where the AI decides like what the song is.
Makes you think if they've already had AI back then of stuff listening to you and knowing what it is that they're saying, then what they have now, bro, that they haven't unleashed is...
That's something that I laugh at when I hear people talk about this. I laugh so hard at it because people are always like, AI is going to take over. AI is going to take over. We've had AI in our world for 100 years, like not 100, but like AI, like basically what an artificial intelligence is a computer. So if you look at what a computer is you put an equation into the computer, and an equation being the mouse clicking on a link, because that in itself is an equation. You are opening up an equation that's already made inside of the system. So everything is basically an artificial intelligence in itself. The ChatGPT is what changed everything, because ChatGPT is a chat bot model of an AI, which means that now you have access to everything that's ever been spoken about ever. That's what's different about AI. And artificial intelligence has always been designed where it's like, okay, this thing is going to do this every time this happens. It's just an equation that's put into a robot, basically.
Yeah, because they've had I guess the basic would be just like in a factory, just those kind of like
Boom.
all day, yeah.
Basically an artificial intelligent being.
But what it is just evolving like everything else is at an exponential rate.
At an exponential rate. So,
and then they're not releasing probably the shit that they actually have.
Dude,
I'm sure.
I was just
Why would they?
I was listening to Terrence Howard.
It's scary.
And I know we were talking about it, but like, dude, I think I understand what the Lynchpin is.
Oh, you figured out the Lynchpin?
No. I'm not even joking right now. I'm trying to do a bit. Dude.
No, I know. I'm just saying, like, you figured out what it is.
Every time you say Lynchpin, though, it sounds like we're about to do a bit.
I know, because we made fun of it so hard.
Say Lynchpin.
Lynchpin.
Yeah, like.
I did that one a little different. A Lynchpin. Lynchpimp.
I didn't tell you to sound like Terrence Howard. I said say Lynchpin. You say Lynchpin. You were about to be like, hey, Lynchpin.
The congregation.
No. It's too cold out here for a pin.
It's too cold out here for a Lynchpin.
It's too cold out here for a Lynchpin. Hey, put some feeling in it.
I mean,
put some feeling in the Lynchpin.
Terrence, if you ever see this, please, I'd love to talk to you about it and understand it more.
Dude.
Because I'm like a visual learner and I have to see it face to face. So if he like is right in front of me, I will fully understand.
No, well, you need to just watch some of his stuff because he provides.
I want to do it live.
No, please call in. We'll do a call in.
Yeah, we'll do
Terrence,
a call in.
Terrence,
let's
do a call in. We'll do a call in.
Yeah.
But no, honestly though, if you watch it,
that's
if you
cool,
watch
though.
him, he provides everything. He provides shapes and all that
on
models.
his website, or
on the models, everything.
But you watched the different videos. What you're saying?
So no, he did a podcast with Patrick Bet David. Do you know Patrick?
Oh
Bet David?
yeah. Okay.
Why you bet on Goliath when you got Bet David? I don't know. I love that song. I love his intro song. Shout out to that pod. You should watch that pod instead of this one.
Yeah, go watch that one and then come back after you finish that episode.
No, but seriously though, he did an interview with Patrick Bet David, and instead of just like rambling on about random shit, he decided to like actually explain the random ramblings that he has. Like when he says a word like central or like circular intrafusion or some shit like that, he explained what circular intrafusion was instead of just like being like, well, we made the planet Saturn with no gravity because if you make the planet Saturn by just the you're like, what the fuck are you talking about? You made the planet. No, so he like stopped and explained it. He's like, no, we didn't make the planet Saturn. We did a simulation on how a planet can be made without gravity. So because of that, he's saying gravity doesn't exist. Basically, it's a superpower or a god that people have worshipped for so many years because they don't understand what it is.
I think so too.
Do you understand what? Do you know what he thinks gravity is?
I think if I remember correctly from like the podcast with Joe Rogan, it's just like it's
the reaction of electricity.
Oh no!
So because the way he said that,
it just is what I mean. It's not even gravity is not the right word for it.
So
or something. I don't remember.
It makes a lot of sense what he's saying. So it's the reaction of electricity because everything has electricity. Everything is constantly moving. Everything has a friction and like power to it, right? Like movement. Yeah. So what he's saying is basically the more whatever you have has electricity mass, the more gravity will have because it's pulling because something about how frequency is an like it goes out, and electricity is an intrafusion thing, so it goes in. So us being pulled in by electricity and being pushed out by frequency, basically, is what he was saying. And then, dude, on PPD, dude, he had like a scientist, like a astrophysicist that like works in NASA. I had to listen to that pod 3 times, bro, because I had to like go through and read and kind of like, because they were just talking about quantum physics, like real deep quantum physics. But I think I understand what the Lynchpin is. So, nanobites, like nanobots or whatever, like, those, you know, in movies when you have like, you ever watch Big Hero 6?
No, but I know what it is. That
in Big Hero
guy, the big white
blubber. In Big Hero 6, the bad guy had these little nanobots that they could like attach to each other and like create things.
Yeah.
That's so every science fiction movie that has those
stuff like that.
That's the Lynchpin.
Heard about it.
That's the Lynchpin. So you start with one drone, right? This one drone, okay, that can move in its own. So it doesn't have like it can move 360 anyway.
Yeah.
So what he's saying is because of the shape, that the Lynchpin is, you can attach another Lynchpin to any part of the Lynchpin. That's what it is. It's nanobots.
Yeah.
It's the future. It's all the comic books we've ever watched. It's all the movies we've ever watched. That's what it is. Mm-hmm. It's the tiny little bots that come together and lift up a building. Come together and lift up a thing. If you only need one bot to do something, it can do it. But if you need 1,000 bots to do it, they all attach together and they all go from the one. Mm-hmm. So cranes, don't need any of those. Don't need forklifts. Don't need anything like that.
Yeah, it's going to be like... I'm trying to think what other movie it's reminding me of. It's it's Spider-Man, I believe. Not those are the bad drones,
100%.
But the newer Spider-Man
100%.
where
It's
where they all connect.
Manifesto or
forget his name.
Yeah,
Jake Gyllenhaal.
Yeah, Jake Gyllenhaal. Yeah. So it's exactly that, dude.
Yeah.
It's the future, basically.
Yeah, but then it's gonna be like they're gonna be like fucking tiny.
I don't think so.
No,
I think that's what it's gonna be. I think they're gonna be. I think they're gonna start at like a basic size.
But eventually they'll be tiny, right? Is that the whole idea?
I don't know.
Oh.
I don't know. I don't think that's... I don't even think...
Because that's what... I don't know. Makes
I don't
me think
that's
of...
his, I don't think that's his whole thing.
No.
So I think the Lynchpin in itself was I think the Lynchpin, when they figured out the Lynchpin, it was because they figured out a problem that we've had forever. Do you know what that problem is? It's the 3-body problem. Did you ever watch that show?
Oh.
So do you know what the 3-body problem is?
I've heard of it, but I never finished that show. I know what you're talking about.
Basically what I have on my arm. So basically, like if you have 2 bodies that circle each other, then you know the orbit that body is going to be in. So for instance, there is no quantum entanglement that goes on there because you can constantly know where these things are going to go around each other, like pretty much a nucleus of an atom. Mm-hmm. So an atom has a perfect, rotation or a perfect orbit, just like anything, like Terrence was saying, anything that's small is big, anything that's big is small. He's kind of wrong there, but he's kind of right because things mimic down to the bottom. But once you get to a quantum level, it's completely
geometry.
Different. So what a 3-body problem is basically if you have one thing, right? You have like one body or one sun, and then you take one planet and it'll orbit, that orbit and what's going to happen. But when you put another body in there in the same like orbit around that sun or something, I don't really know. I'm not smart enough to know. Point is, it has everything to do with movement. Yeah. It has everything to do with like something not being able to move a certain way or only being able to move up, down, side to side. Basically, the Lynchpin was a problem of shapes, and they figured out that.
No, it makes sense.
So, no, it doesn't.
I remember.
It does not make sense at all.
It does a little bit.
You're a liar.
No, in my head, dude. Like I remember the shapes that he had, dude. And if you look at it like that, because I think of it like sacred geometry.
Yeah.
Is like the blueprint of, I think, everything.
Yeah.
Which is shapes as well. Yeah. But it's just the shapes that you can see on a flat surface. But what he's doing is like 4D shapes. And he's showing that. And then that's the sacred geometry coming to life in 4D shapes. And then that's just what everything is based off of. So if you can understand what like makes, even though you're looking at this couch, because I think it's like, you said quantum physics. Mm-hmm. Have you ever looked into like metaphysics at all? At all?
Explain. What do you mean?
This is like going to be like a horrible explanation.
Yeah, of
probably,
course. We're not. Well, let's just pause there. Let's just, before you go. We're obviously not scientists.
Yeah.
We're 2 comedians doing a podcast in a podcast room that a comedian built. We're not scientists with funding.
I mean, if we had funding.
Hey, if we get some shit wrong, fuck you, right?
But if we get it right.
But if we get it right, though, fuck you, right?
Fuck you, right?
Same thing. Same thing. Same thing. We don't care. We're here for it.
So pretty much.
That was aggressive.
I like that, though. Pretty much it's, I'm not going to say how I found out about it because I'll make fun of myself. But anyways, the way I learned about it.
But kind of want to know how you learned about it.
I got a book and I tried reading it.
You got a book and you tried reading?
Yeah, it was like 50 pages and I made it to like 20 pages. But
was it the dyslexia? Dyslexic?
Yeah.
Because you're dyslexic?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Phantom Quizzics?
Phantom Quizzics, yeah.
Go ahead.
Freckling head. I was reading this book, and what the gist of it is when you're looking at something, you just say that it's a chair, right? But then like the chair is not moving, pretty much is what it's also saying. And then inside the chair, if everything's moving, like the
everything.
atoms. So that's what I'm pretty sure that's what metaphysics is.
That's
And
quantum physics.
Oh,
So
meta is something else. Then I think I believe it. I thought it was like when you're looking at things, it's like whatever you're seeing is what you're seeing. But then as soon as you like turn, it's like
everything's different.
Yeah, the chair could
It's
have
almost
been
like-
like a face or I don't know.
Yeah, it's almost like
maybe
the-
getting mixed up,
yeah.
but
It's like the idea.
it's like
that,
it's like a super simple form of physics. Is what they're trying to say, but it still is like confusing,
there
even
is
though
no
it's simple.
There is no simple.
Yeah,
form
because
of
it's supposed to be
physics.
like the philosophy of physics.
That's what I think. That's what blows
But-
my mind the most.
Yeah, it makes sense though.
Is that there's no straight lines.
Yeah.
I think that's
Yeah,
what blows
that's
my
what's
mind
crazy,
more
huh?
than anything is that there's no straight lines.
It's all circles,
It's not just that it's all circles. Is that nothing's actually a perfect straight line.
or
If
it's
you
just not
zoom
even
in-
really a shape.
If you zoom in
guess, yeah.
real, everything is like a piece
Yeah,
just made together with atoms that are like.
I think I've said this before, and I apologize if I have to you because you probably heard me say it. I don't know if they'll remember me saying.
gives a shit?
Yeah, but you know those like the Zoom videos where it starts off at like person's face,
Yeah.
and then it goes into their eye. Have you
Yeah.
seen those? And then goes in like the brain cells, and then, or sorry, I'm having it reverse. It starts with the face and the eye, like someone's really close, and then
Yeah.
it zooms out to the sky, and then through the universe and out the Milky
Yeah,
Way,
yeah, it
and then
shows
it's
how
all the
small you are,
universes,
yeah.
and it's all the galaxies, and then it goes back into the person's brain, and then out the eye again.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
it's like saying, like, what if the universe is just a giant organism?
It
But
is
it's like, okay,
It is.
it
It is
is.
in itself. It is.
I think it is, dude.
But that's
just
what we
what-
believe in God, though.
Yeah, no, that's why. Yeah.
It's so funny. I just read this. I just read this.
Because it's everything.
I read
Yeah.
this article that was like scientists believe, or scientists have found evidence that the water on Earth might be older than the sun. And I was like, like that's what our book says. It literally says that God was resting on the water before he created the sun.
Yeah.
So he was resting on the waters.
Yeah.
And then he said, let there be light.
And that's why people also, I mean, I don't know if you believe this, but some people, a lot of Christians as well, believe that the space is water.
Yeah, that's what a lot of psychopaths. Yeah, a lot of
I heard people at the music festival talking about it, and they're like looking up, they're like, yeah, so pretty much that's why, everything is water, and that's why the sky is water.
It's
I'm just
what's
like,
you know
okay.
what, and this is where we're going
Could
back
be,
to
I don't know.
going back to Terrence. That just reminded me. I have a crazy little theory that I want to throw at you real quick. But so it goes back to Terrence. Terrence was saying that basically it is water. Basically, space is water, but
there's always
because
a
of the way that pressure works and the way that gravity works and the way that frequency works, that different
ocean space is like vibrating the water away from
it's
everything.
almost like he's saying that so why elements, so he's saying that once you get farther from the sun and once you get farther out from pressure, the elements will change because of the frequency that's changing from the sun. So for instance, that's why on Uranus it rains hydrogen, not water. So what if like out in space it is technically an ocean, but it's just an ocean of different elements than we know as an ocean.
Yeah.
What we know as an ocean is water. In space, that ocean could be a dark matter or something like that. That's what you're traveling through. That's really interesting because then it's like, I mean,
to
dude,
give these people credit that I was listening to and kind of, I wasn't trying to eavesdrop, but they're literally sitting right next to me.
Yeah.
I was like, obviously listening to music. But
yeah,
they're
the two random people at the music festival you think is going to hear this podcast? Go ahead. Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. They're just saying
you're not,
like
but go ahead.
oxygen is part of like what water makes water. So I was
Yeah.
like, and we breathe in. I was like, oh shit, they actually.
Well,
that
that
kind of
makes-
makes sense. I
well,
never
well-
thought of it like that. But then,
Well, dude,
I don't know.
Well, that's
but
what the whole,
what,
that's how the flood happened, right? So in the Bible, it says that the flood, that God brought the waters from the earth, right? So back in the day, there wasn't a lot of water because the earth was surrounded, or it was full with hydrogen. So this is what like
Oh,
this
and
is a theory. This is like
people
a
say animals were bigger and stuff too.
so this is like a
because there's
theory.
more-
Yeah. So
Oh, this is your theory.
when
All
God opened up, well, it's not my theory, but it's been a theory. When God opened up the earth, it split the hydrogen. So the hydrogen got released from the earth and it met with oxygen. So immediately, right when it met with oxygen, it created water.
Oh, it would just, dude. I'm picturing something crazy right now. I'm just picturing nothing in the middle of the sky, and then all of a sudden, water everywhere.
Imagine what that would do to your head. Imagine if you seen that in person.
Well,
if
I was
you've
just
seen
thinking
that in person, just imagine if you were Moses and God told you that if you split this rock that's full of hydrogen, water's going to come out of that rock. And he goes to the rock and then it meets with oxygen. It creates a chemical reaction right there, right in your face. You would think that would be God. I'm just saying, dude. That's like
no, that's crazy.
This stuff makes sense.
That visual image that I'm having in my head is just like insane. I'm like thinking of the image of the Big Bang Theory, but just with water.
It almost, but not, but
not all. Yeah, yeah.
But take the water out of your
like
mind,
that.
though.
Yeah.
Take the water out of your mind. It's the Big Bang
with
different elements.
Yeah.
So everything is just the same thing with different elements.
Whoa.
Basically, and it makes sense, dude. So Terrence, going back to Terrence, he was saying that's how you travel through space. Is you have
the elements?
You have things around your spaceship
that
can change their frequency through where you're traveling in space.
My God.
So you can pretty much you're not traveling through space, you're evolving where space evolves through space. So for instance, if this frequency is over here because the hydrogen is heavier, then you're going to change your frequency to go with that hydrogen.
Oh my gosh.
Isn't that insane?
Dude, that would be so much cooler if that's how Star Wars explained it. Like what light speed was, if they're just like, it's because of the elements in the Lynchpin Chewbacca. You don't understand.
If you use Lynchpin, that would be funny. That would be hilarious. Yeah. Could you imagine if that is how they did Star Wars?
That's what I'm saying. If they explained it and like this
the way I'm thinking
and
about
then they
it,
were right about it because
dude, the way I'm thinking
that's
about
insane,
it,
dude.
It's literally like a sci-fi movie, bro.
Well,
like imagine your spaceship. So you're gonna have a spaceship,
UFOs,
right?
dude.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Literally, dude.
Yeah. That they say it's unknown technology.
Yeah,
we can't
like,
figure it out. It's because it's elements.
Don't they say that the UFOs, like once it's traveling, like the little things will like flip on the UFO?
Yeah,
like,
dude.
And then
weird
like
stuff like that happens. Yeah,
the whole UFO will like turn in itself and it disappears. It's because it's changing its frequency to the
and their camouflage too. So that means if the elements that pretty much. And if it's if it's artificial, not artificial, but if it's a natural UFO, like if it's made out of elements and they're able to, whatever the fuck creature it is or demon, whatever it is, dude, they're using and manipulating elements, which totally makes sense because that's how they can camouflage because they're turning into whatever's in the air.
Yeah.
They're turning into dust, cloud. Like, I don't know. I don't know.
Well, he also said something that kind of made sense too with the pyramids.
Crazy, dude.
You know, in the pyramids, they investigated some of the rocks. And the rocks have bubbles in them, which indicates that they might have just created the rocks there. Yeah. So instead of them bringing rocks from thousands of miles away, they dusted the rocks at the quarry, brought the material to the pyramids, created perfect square blocks by what we do today with concrete, which is super. We've done that for millions of years now, mud and concrete.
Yeah.
So we pretty much that's how we made roads and everything. So they created rocks through granite and limestone and just created blocks and made the pyramid.
Just like right there.
On
top of itself.
Right on top of itself. Like
not moving anything.
Like we do with buildings today.
Like we did with Mount Rushmore.
Like we do with everything.
Oh my god.
Just like how does a skyscraper built? Skyscraper's not like built from the bottom and then they carry big skyscraper. No.
That would actually be the most logical explanation because they just built it where it stood.
Yeah, basically how we build buildings today. You don't build a house from the top down, or
when you do, it's a tiny home in the woods, and you have to fucking drive up hills and shit. Like,
do you bring like when you're building a house, you don't bring a wall and put a wall there. You build the fucking wall.
There are certain situations where they come, but it's not like. Yeah, it's not like.
But mainly when we're building a house or building an apartment complex.
You have all the stuff already there, and you just build it. Yeah.
And then you build it up.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And then you tear down the stuff that doesn't need to be needed, just like they probably did with the pyramids. Like how many scaffoldings and shit do you think was around the pyramid?
What you're saying is it was already like a naturally formed like location, like rock or something, and
Yeah,
then they
the
just
quarry.
carved the fuck out of it.
Yeah.
Or,
at the
it
quarry.
was a quarry.
Yeah, so there was a quarry.
Right there is a quarry where the pyramids are at.
No, the quarry is what they think they brought rocks
Right,
from 1,000 miles away or whatever.
Yeah.
But what if they didn't bring rocks from 1,000 miles away? It was just dust. It was just pieces of rocks. Pieces of rocks are a lot easier to carry than huge stones.
Oh, I see. And
Yeah, because then everybody's like, how did they cut the stones into perfect spots? They didn't. They made the stones with molds. How easy is it to make a mold, bro?
Yeah,
It's how they make coffins.
It's with wood. Yeah, you just make wood. Yeah,
you just put wood fucking block, and then you just pour the shit in there, and it makes a perfect
and then
stone
you can
block.
sand it after and clean it. Yeah,
Sand it after and clean it up, make it look good.
Yeah, and then you have an assembly line of fucking thousands of people doing that.
Dude, 1,000? Hundreds and hundreds of thousands of Jews. Hundreds and hundreds of thousands of Jews
just
working for you.
making fucking blocks all day.
They do.
Yeah.
All day.
No,
Make
yeah,
blocks.
dude, that's
exactly what happened.
No, because there's a reason why, and this is why I like, one of the reasons why I like Hollywood, one of the only reasons why I like it, I'll just say that, is because they'll put things in movies that like for over and over again in movies since Hollywood's been around for a reason. So like, you picture every time there's like slaves and stuff, there's always a giant assembly line, and that's all they do.
That's all they do
is like work and like build whatever they're building, or they're miners or whatever they're doing. I mean,
basically what we do today.
Yeah, just we have clothes and we look, we go to our homes and stuff.
Yeah, how many guys were at a home?
Yeah,
when you were doing construction.
Oh, there was like 6 of us at one point.
Yeah, would be 6 guys building a house.
Yeah.
Yeah. So imagine if you had 10,000 of you, how easy the house would be.
We'd have it done in less than a day.
Less than an hour. Like you guys would be done.
Yeah.
10,000 men.
Yeah. No,
you know
definitely.
what I mean?
That's crazy, dude.
And then they found all those.
That explains it.
Yeah, they found all those graves right outside the pyramids. They're like, it's so sad, dude. They're like graves the size of like probably 3 by 3, and then all the like any of the slaves and anything, they were just stuffed in there. Oh man, it's so sad. Dude. Like they're all like kneeled in a position, like in a fetal position, like stuffed in these graves.
And that's stuff that people talk about, but you just don't hear about things like that.
You know why
like
you don't hear about it, right?
Everyone knows that there was slaves at the pyramids, but they don't talk about like.
It's because it's not as cool, bro. It's because there's not aliens involved or crazy math.
They don't. They don't teach you it, is what I'm saying, in school.
Yeah.
They just briefly go over shit like that.
Well, yeah, because it's not interesting. Because it's more interesting to say the pyramids, no one knows how they were created.
Right. Yeah.
It's more interesting. And how and think but now think about it from Egypt's standpoint. Now think about it, the country of Egypt.
Well,
their greatest tourist thing they cannot say was created by Jewish slaves.
Yeah.
They are not like that would ruin their whole thing.
That's like kind of
like the only people that would visit them are Germans.
Yeah.
So
it's kind of the flack that we get for America, the fact that we kept on going for so long with slavery.
And once they figured it out,
and
how much stuff was torn down.
Yeah.
Once we got fed up of it, all this stuff was built by slaves. They tore it down. I'm not saying that's okay or tearing down our history or whatever, because it's it's Black history as well.
Yeah.
But like Black people should take credit in the fact that they were able to get past that. You know what I mean? So they're destroying their own history as well, sadly. But it is to that point where maybe statues of these slave owners and shit shouldn't have been made.
Probably,
I don't want to get too political on the podcast or anything like that. That's not like how I feel. But like if we are comparing it to the pyramids, if they're afraid to say that the pyramids were more than likely created by slaves, there's a reason why they don't want to say that. Is because people wouldn't want to be around anymore. It's the same way with like I don't want to go to a plantation, bro.
No.
I would never want to go there. It's sad. I would feel like the death and the No, dude, I wouldn't want to do that shit. No. So it's the same thing with the pyramids. That's why I don't really care to go to the pyramids, because I know how they were built. I never
thought of it like that.
I know how they were built. Yeah. A lot of people don't. They were aliens, dude. No, they weren't. It was 450,000 slaves.
Yeah.
Who over time, probably 100,000. You know how long they were in Egypt for?
Thousands of years, dude.
400 years. The Jews were in Egypt for 400 years.
So why do they say the pyramids were there before the Egyptians got there? Is that just like fake news and like? Because I don't know.
They just don't know because it's more interesting than saying they were probably around exactly at the time of that, like the, you know, or, and this is just a random theory, Egypt's been doing slave shit for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And every time a pharaoh was in power or a reign of pharaohs were in power, then they would get slaves from all over. And like, let's say the Khafre pyramid was created by these slaves. The Great Sphinx was created by these slaves. And then these slaves created, you know, I don't know the other names of the pyramids, but, or the Giza, the Great Pyramid of Giza was created by these ones. So it could all be different because they do have different dates on all the pyramids. They weren't all created in the same time. It wasn't like, oh, they were all constructed like while this one was being created, this one was being created. No, that's not how it worked at all. They were like, they were done through different people's thing, you know?
Yeah, I think it was because of the Sphinx too is why people try and argue it, but that would make more sense that, yeah, the Sphinx was already there. And then the pyramids weren't. That kind of makes sense, actually. Now that I think of it like that,
dude,
could have been possible.
It could be anything. It could be like,
true. I mean, But what you're saying, how they
were like the tribes of Judah created the Sphinx as a lion, and they didn't like that because they were creating it for the lion of Judah,
that's what I'm like.
So they put the pharaoh's face on it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that definitely could be it.
You never know, dude.
Yeah.
I do have a random theory I want to throw at you real quick. This is something I said to Tirza, my wife. I was like, what if once you get to a certain famousness or you get to a certain level of like fame or money or whatever, like Elon, Mr. Beast, Terrence, once you get to like a certain amount of smarts to where you like figure shit out, what if like you're all competing to be the bad guy? What if they're all competing to like do the prophecy and be the bad guy? How crazy is that? Think about that.
I mean, I'm not trying to like freak you out or anything or like say it, but I think of stuff like that sometimes. Mm-hmm. Whenever we start doing like bits and stuff about like, you know, the ones we've done where like the Justice League or whatever, when we did, I forget what we did, but like Jesus was there and Mr. Beast and all that. But like that's dude, when we did that, that's not the first time I've thought about that.
The League of Doom.
Yeah,
the League of Doom is all the famous guys. Yeah,
because it's like I said earlier. There's a reason why they make the same like theme movies and like archetypes and stories, is because it's just part of history. And that's how humans work. There's like only like 10 there's like 10 story archetypes that exist that someone will choose to do in their life, and then that's how movies and stories are written. Because there's really only, I mean, it sounds crazy to say, but to make it like simple, there's probably really only technically like 10 ways someone can decide to choose their life. But then once you start on that path, it kind of like the roads go like all over the place. It's like a subway station or like a, you know, roads on a map. Like everyone starts right here at the start line, and then the stories are just like you can go like that. But you only have 10 spots to start from. But as soon as you go in that fucking maze, you have to decide which way you want to go and then where you want to end up. It's different for everyone. But the starting point is the same for everyone. Right? We're all born. We all fucking...
What if that's like I just had this like really weird thought.
Some people are deciding to do the bad guy role.
What if Jesus like picked his disciples by those archetypes? Because
probably,
like,
dude. I bet if we did some research, dude, I bet if we did some like actual and looked into it, there's probably a really good breakdown of...
Each disciple has their own thing that they dealt with. Like each guy had their own thing. Like Peter had his thing with anger. That's crazy.
Yeah,
Judas had his thing with money.
Yeah.
James had his thing with little James had his thing with like having a disability and not being able to heal himself, but being able to heal everybody around him and having to live like that.
That's not my like theory or anything, but like, you know, Jordan Peterson did his like breakdown of like maps of meaning.
Yeah.
I was listening to it. Like I just haven't listened to it a couple weeks, but one of the big things of like psychology and just like people and like human nature in general is like kind of like that, the story archetypes,
knowing the
and then there's literally like a chart that I forget the dude's name, I wish I remember it, but there's literally a chart that describes it and is made up. It almost looks like the constellation chart, if you know what that is, and that's what and then that could be laid over that too. So if you believe in like constellations and astrology and like I'm a Capricorn or whatever, I bet if I laid the Capricorn on the story arc, type of like what I am. I bet the Capricorn might align with my story arc of what I want to do in my life and like what journey I'm on. You know,
we should do that next pod.
Yeah,
we should line those out and see what they.
Yeah. Because that's another thing. People like J.P. Morgan, for instance, started Chase Bank. He was a proponent. I saw this on like Reels or something, but he believed that the way to be successful with money is just following this astrologies, like the stars and stuff, and like that, and then applying that with the stock market.
That's crazy because in the Bible it says don't look towards the stars.
But that's why it's because it's bad to do that because you're not supposed to live for money and stuff.
Yeah, like what if you're just supposed
to?
Well, like what if you're not even supposed to like live knowing your archetype? Like you're supposed to just let. Well,
that's kind of that's part.
The
yeah, dude. Well, like you get to start it, but you don't. In between, you can try to like. That's a part of it. I believe that's actually what Jordan Peterson says. Is like, yeah, you get to start it, but like.
Whoa, like when you're a kid,
there's things that like are gonna happen to you that are just part of your fucking life.
Yeah, like
and
you
that's
make
it, dude.
You make that choice when you're a kid. Like that's it, bro. It's like the Pokemon. Like you, like here's your
dude.
three
Once
Pokemon.
you decide who you are, that's who you are, bro.
Whoa.
And then you deal with that pretty much your entire life until you finally are like love yourself and like accept who you are. Whoa. And then that's when your story starts again, kind of thing. Like,
that's crazy.
Yeah, dude.
That's crazy.
And then you're constantly working on that and trying to make yourself a better person because in your head you know what the 10 stories, what the ending's like.
And then and if you think
do you want
to
be a hero? Do you want to be like bad guy? Like what if Trump is a bad guy? Who knows, dude?
What if you think about it? What if you think about like that's kind of like the commandments in itself, or like that's the parables is like every archetype, if they just follow being right.
Yeah.
And like follow what you're supposed to do. Yeah. Like there's something in there that's going to help each person. Yeah. You know what I mean? That's crazy.
And
I like
everyone,
that a lot.
And then I think also too that, everyone's going to have different things that they go through that are going to test you. But that doesn't mean that you have to change your story,
like
stay fucking who you are no matter what happens to you. Kind of thing.
That right there. That what you just said, stay who you are. You hear that a lot from everybody and you don't really understand what they mean. Like, what do you mean?
You know how many
remember
times people have tried to change who I am, bro?
Wait a second. That's crazy. Like, remember where you come from.
Yeah, bro,
that's
for sure.
That's what that is.
Never
like, remember that archetype that you are.
But
remember
like, you want to remember it, but you don't want to like hold on to the shit that's like holding you down.
Stop,
kind of thing
stop.
Too,
wait, I just thought about it. Like, did you have those moments when you were a kid where you had to like decide to be the good person?
All the time, bro.
Like you did something wrong, and then you like you could make that decision where it's like I can have forgiveness, I can say I'm sorry, or I can just like be an asshole and like not do it.
All the time.
You have those?
And every time I pick the wrong decision, I fucking have regretted it. And feel bad about it.
Like I remember times when I like I had a problem with anger growing up where I like did things that I would regret, like hurt people or like fight one of my friends or do some like dumb shit. I'm talking like when I was real young,
Yeah, same.
And every time I did it, I was always like had this like weird feeling to like ask for forgiveness from them. Like say I'm sorry or be like, hey, like no matter what, like you know what I mean? And like you make those archetypes. And you're wrong. Like not saying you're wrong on that, but like I think you do need to remember where you're from.
No, you definitely do. I'm not saying you don't, but I'm saying like
even today I have these moments that happen where like I make the decisions to do like something like that. And then I think like, hey, what would you normally do? Like ask for the forgiveness, say you're sorry, or just like be a badass and just like fuck them, let them do their thing, and I'll live my life, they live theirs. It's like, what are you gonna do? Yeah, but I think that's like part of believing in God
for sure. I'm saying I could agree with you. Like definitely like never forget like where you are, where you came from, and what makes you who you are. But if you're like, I don't know, like have like a bad experience and like maybe lost a loved one or something, and like you like stay attached to that feeling, and then you almost I don't know, like it's different for everyone, but whatever happened to you, you could be stuck in that time zone. Like your mind, like you'll stay attached to that, and then like your mind never like moves forward.
Because
I guess
you didn't
maybe
do what you were supposed to do.
Yeah,
like you lost that person or that loved one because you were supposed to have the ability to deal with things by yourself. Like or maybe you needed to go and get somebody to help you, and like maybe that's what it is. Like I've dealt with things in my life where like you feel alone. Yeah. And like that, the whole thing is trying to tell you that you're not alone. It's like you can have help, you can ask for help, you can do shit like that.
Never think you're alone because you're never alone.
Yeah.
But I also was trying to think of like it was just on the top of my head. Oh, like when you're like one of my bosses told me to read a book. He's like, just read it. So it was like a 2-hour audiobook, so I just listened to it like in 2 days pretty much. But it was saying that one way to like create more like open space for your mind is just like letting go of like freeing up stuff in your head that you just don't really need to think about, I guess. Which is like, it sounds like I've heard that before, but like, you know, I guess if you're really trying to like free up your mind and think about it, like, oh yeah, there's like so much random stuff that you could hold on, especially because we're always trying to write jokes and shit. You know, like, or not always, but like, you know, we're trying to like observe and like think of stuff to try and be funny, but
there's a lot of
you just got to like leave some spot in your room for new stuff to always constantly be getting into your head and like kind of like be okay if you're like not right about stuff and like learn. Yeah. I don't know.
I think that podcast is a big example of that for us.
Yeah.
I think the podcast is a big example for us because we kind of like, I think we both kind of like go through life thinking we know what we're talking about.
Sometimes it feels like it, and then sometimes it doesn't. Yeah.
But like I think like before we started this or like comedy or whatever.
Yeah.
Like we kind of like, I thought I had shit figured out.
Oh, I won't say that I thought I had shit figured out, but I could tell you that I thought life was like, you know,
like you thought you knew shit. Like,
I thought I was like, you know, I could talk to someone and be like, hey, you know what? Like, have a good opinion on something. But the more people you meet that are like, you know,
smarter
like-minded,
than you or anything.
You realize like, oh, there's some fucking
you just, even with the
interesting
podcast,
people. I
you
don't know.
just realize you're like, oh, I don't want to say things I don't know.
Yeah, you almost like catch yourself. You're like,
oh, I don't want to do this anymore. Like you're like, oh, you're like, I don't want to just talk about things like, dude, I've
always trying to catch myf. Like, well, dude, if I'll tell someone if I don't really know. Like, I never try and pretend.
Maybe it's just me. Maybe it's just me. Like I grew up like reading a lot of like small. Like,
I've known you long enough, dude. You're fucking. I can tell you're smart. Like you know a lot of shit.
Even since you've known me, dude, like I have got to the point where I'm like, I'm going to learn about
right
things rather than
like,
talking
with
about
that mindset. I'm like right here, and then you're like right here, or like right here, because you read more books. That's the biggest thing, I think. That's what everyone that tells me that they read books growing up, that's where I'm like, that's what I missed out on.
Yeah.
I think that would have been huge for me. But I love listening to audiobooks and all that shit. But sorry, I totally cut you off.
No, you're good. What are you talking about, dude? I'll cut you off.
Thought you had like a whole...
No,
like a whole speech.
No, I didn't have a thing.
You're gonna...
Oh, no, I'm not feeling... You're going to do it today? All right, yeah, you be that guy.
Hey, this guy right here?
What?
He does everything for me. No, I'm just kidding.
Dude, stop, dude.
He does it for me.
Hey, you're gonna make me cry, dude.
I'm just kidding.
No. So I do have this pulled up real quick because I think if you've watched this podcast in the last 12 episodes, you know that my buddy right here does not know a fucking thing about the UFC.
No,
I watch the UFC every single weekend. I'm trying to get this podcast to be what is it called? What is it called when a podcast
fight friendly?
No, what is it called?
Adverse.
I'm trying to get DraftKings to.
Advertise. I was trying.
Yeah, I'm trying to get an advertise.
Versatile is what I was trying to say.
We're gonna talk about the main fights on this weekend's UFC card. What I have, all right. So I have the card pulled up, and what we're gonna do is I'm gonna yell out a fight, and then Zach, who knows nothing about these fighters at all, except maybe a couple of things he's read.
Yeah, literally. I'm looking at these names and I'm like, oh, Bryce Mitchell talks to demons.
Yeah, so I'm gonna ask him what he thinks about the fighter, what he thinks that fighter is gonna do, and how the fight's gonna go, and we're gonna go from there, and we're gonna build a parlay.
All right.
So we'll start with this one right here: Yair Rodriguez and Patricio Pitbull.
Honestly, I was looking at this one first, and I'm looking I'm gonna go based off of stats for this one because they look similar, similar body build. I'm guessing
not at all.
Oh,
go ahead.
They look like they have the same goatee.
Yeah, okay.
Anyways, I'm gonna go based off of just pure stats on this one. I'm gonna take Pitbull.
You're taking Pitbull? Yeah,
just because he's got more experience, but.
What do you think Pitbull does? What is just by his name and like the way he looks?
Patricio Pitbull, he looks like and I'm gonna guess he's a scrapper.
He is a scrapper.
I'm guessing that's
he is a
even though that's not his
scrapper.
not his stage name, but I'm guessing having a last name Pitbull, you're
like his name should have been Patricio Scrapper Pitbull.
something like that.
Little scrappy.
He's wild.
He's gonna be a wild boy.
And then Yari Rodriguez, I'm guessing, is probably Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
No, you're wrong on that. He does a bunch of cool. Well, he does do jiu-jitsu. He does do a lot of jiu-jitsu, but he does cool kicks.
Okay.
Cool, fancy.
I don't think it's going to be
stuff.
enough, to be honest.
No, you don't think it's enough to keep. All right, so we're going Patricio Pitbull by.
Yeah. I think Pitbull's going to fucking.
By KO?
Yeah, he's going to knock him
out. You think a KO?
Yeah, he knocks him out.
Okay, I kind of like that. All right.
You're
doing pretty all right. All right. So now we're going to go to Bryce Mitchell and Gene Silva. John.
Honestly, since the only thing I do know about Bryce is that he complains a lot.
Okay.
So I'm going to go purely based off of what I've heard on the internet.
Yeah.
And a little bit off stats. But I'm going to take Gene on this one again.
So what do you think Bryce does? Just by...
I'm guessing he was a wrestler. Probably boxing.
Yeah, he was a wrestler.
Yeah, I knew he was a wrestler for sure. Mm-hmm. I could tell by... I know when I see a wrestler. I can just tell by the way people walk and present themselves. He's kind of funny a little bit. He's goofy.
He wants to sniff nuts is what you're saying.
So, he's probably very good at wrestling, which honestly... I'm guessing he's probably better at wrestling than Gene Silva because Gene doesn't look like he has wrestled his entire life. No, sir. So it's going to be an up on the ground fight. So Gene's going to have to. Yeah, it's probably going to be decision. Yeah, and then I think Gene's going to win because that's just.
So what you have here is you have a well-rounded fighter on the right. You have a very well-rounded fighter.
Like
Bryce is a problem if he can get on the ground. Like he is a motherfucker.
That's what it makes sense. You could tell. You could just
like
know, that's weird.
He does not fuck around.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, like he's going to.
I saw him wear overalls without a shirt on a podcast. So I was like, oh yeah, he doesn't fuck around.
He doesn't fuck around.
That's like a backyard.
It's gonna be a great fight.
Yeah.
So we're taking who by what?
I think. Well. I'll just go based off because I didn't know anything before. I'm just going to stick to it. But yeah, Gene by decision. But it's going to be
Gene by decision.
Yeah.
I fucking like that.
Yeah.
I like that. I would take him by knockout.
But I think people who are fans, if I would have watched the fight, I would have been like, Bryce should have won. Because I don't know anything.
I like that a lot.
Because I don't know anything.
So it's going to be so it's going to be one of those like Gene Silva wins by decision, but like, hey, Bryce should have won that.
Yeah.
Okay. I like that. Watch that actually be exactly. Now, Michael Chandler and Paddy Pimblett. We're going to start here since it's one of the main fights, co-headliner. What do you think Michael Chandler does?
Well, this is kind of like I already know a little bit about Michael Chandler.
I've
seen him fight before.
You have.
And I've heard about him.
He's a wild boy.
Yeah, I know he's very good fighting.
Big wrestler.
Jiu-jitsu and
everything. Yep.
So he's got everything.
You know Paddy the bad?
I haven't heard of Paddy, but dude, he's fucking 22-3. So again, I'm looking at stats. Someone I haven't heard of who looks very young, honestly. So that's like being against someone, but Michael's been around for a while. I know that. So I'm going to take, dude, honestly, I don't know why the right side's calling to me, but I think the right side again, bro.
You're taking the whole right side. You know, I've seen this be a thing.
I'm just looking at how young he is and 22-3 being like with UFC and the record of, I don't know how young he actually is, but he looks young. A young lad.
He's young.
And he's Irish?
Lad. No, he's from
Scotland or something.
No, he's from Britain, but it's
Southern Britain.
No, what's that that gross ass?
Where the Beatles are from?
Yeah, no.
Wales. He's not Wales.
No.
Glasgow.
Why can't I? It's blank in my head.
Oh, you're good.
It starts with a W.
Not Wales.
What the fuck is? Do you have your phone right there?
Yeah. But yeah, I think
I'm look this up.
You want me to look it up? You got it?
No, I got it.
Definitely Paddy for sure. I don't know why, but I'm just gonna stay with Paddy.
Liverpool.
Liverpool.
Liverpool. Okay. Nasty ass Liverpoolians. Yeah. Well, from Liverpool. He's from.
He's probably
Liverpool.
what I'm guessing. He's kickboxer.
No, he's a grappler. Paddy?
Really?
Dude, this is going to be a wrestling match.
Yeah.
This is going to be a big wrestling match. Okay. But I'm pretty sure Paddy is going to. I'm personally going to take Paddy Pimblett by submission.
That's what I was going to say. I was actually going to say he's going to submit him.
Third round submission. Third round rear naked choke. All right, now big one. This is our head of the
What's
thing.
this dude's record?
Alexander Volkanovski versus Diego
I've heard of
Lopez.
I've heard Joe Rogan suck this dude's dick so many times.
Yes, he's
Okay.
one of the he's one of my favorite dude.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, obviously, I mean, just because knowing off of what Joe Rogan said about this dude, I'm gonna take Volkanovski
Take Volky
all day. Yeah. But I mean, another young guy has a very good record. So fuck. It
gonna
sounds
be
like it's gonna
honest,
be a
dude.
good fight.
I'm taking Volk all day, dude.
Yeah, really?
I'm taking Volk by knockout, bro.
Yeah.
Diego Lopez
That dude
is
looks
a
like
killer.
a Mexican Theo Vaughn.
He does look like a Mexican Theo Vaughn.
A little bit,
Wow, Mexican. So Diego the Mexican Theo Vaughn Lopez. I honestly don't think he has the tools to beat Volk right now. I think this is Volk's last
Yeah.
run, and
Yeah.
we even watched last weekend. We watched it was Leron Murphy and Jim Miller. No, not Jim Miller. Why can't I think of his name? I am not doing good right now with names. It's because it's too early, dude.
You haven't finished your coffee.
I have not. I no.
Almost did.
Josh Emmett. So it was Josh Emmett and Leron Murphy, and that was so Leron Murphy should have just whipped the shit out of Josh Emmett. Josh Emmett's a 40-year-old man, just on the way out. Like, this is his last run. It went to the decision. I'm gonna be honest with you. I could have taken Josh Miller, or Josh Emmett. I could have took a Josh Emmett. Jim Miller and Josh Emmett. They're like both two old guys that need to stop fighting, but still can just fuck you up if you're in there with them. That's why I get them mixed up. But
okay.
Josh Emmett definitely. He could have won if he stepped up a little bit. But yeah, so it's one of those things where the younger fighter is going to go up against this experienced fighter who's on his way out, but
It's still in his prime,
doesn't
right?
want to get taken out. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
not in his prime. He's
Oh,
on his
he's
way
not in
out,
his prime.
but
Okay.
he does not want to get taken out by this young guy.
What's his record? Because I can't see
huge.
What's
huge,
the left?
26-4.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
Damn.
So he's really good. He's one of the best champions we've ever had. So I don't know. Make your guys' parlay. We got Patricio Pitbull by knockout. We got Gene Silva by decision. We got Patty Pimlet by submission, and we got Volkanovski by knockout.
Yeah, knockout. That's what I was gonna say.
Make your bets.
Yep,
And
sure.
only bet if you're over 21. Obviously, if you have a problem, call and get help.
Better call Saul.
Better call Saul. All right, guys. That was Hunchback Insomniac, episode 12 with Nahum and Zack.
Or you didn't want to talk about we'll save it for next time, huh?
What? Say,
Then top right. 'Cause we only have
yeah,
like
we'll
10
save it.
minutes or so. So
Nah, we'll save it for next
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
All right, guys.
we
Love you guys. Have a great night.